Hello, I'm SA, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
In late 19th century Vienna, a city alive with intellectual activity, a revolutionary viewpoint emerged. Ernst Mach, a young man, carefully observed the swirling patterns of smoke from a cigarette. He examined reality. He saw in the smoke a small version of the universe, a brief display of fundamental physical principles. This close observation, this focus on what could be seen, became the core of his intellectual work. Mach possessed a wide range of knowledge. He explored physics, philosophy, and psychology. He was a physicist who questioned mechanics, a philosopher who valued sensory experience, and a psychologist who studied human perception. This approach, refusing to be limited to one field, was both his strength and a cause of debate. The intellectual environment of his time was filled with tension. Science dealt with the Industrial Revolution, thermodynamics, and advanced experiments. Philosophy emphasized positivism and empiricism, movements that based knowledge on observable facts and rejected speculation. Existing scientific and philosophical ideas were intensely examined. The Newtonian worldview, though successful, faced challenges from new discoveries and conceptual difficulties. The essence of space, time, and matter underwent scrutiny. Mach, central to this period of intellectual ferment, sought to understand the fundamental principles governing the world. He questioned assumptions, challenging the concepts of absolute space and time, ideas previously considered unchanging. He advocated for reevaluation of scientific explanation, emphasizing observation and the rejection of speculative hypotheses. This exploration will examine the diverse nature of Ernst Mach's intellectual contributions. It will begin with his early work, focusing on his methodological empiricism and dedication to observation and experimentation. It will then explore his significant contributions to physics, including his study of sound, his investigations into inertia, and his formulation of Mach's principle, a concept that influenced Einstein's theory of general relativity. His philosophical ideas will also be examined, with attention to his critique of Newtonian mechanics, his views on the relationship between mind and matter, and his influence on logical positivism. Finally, his enduring legacy will be considered, assessing his impact on the scientific and philosophical landscape of the 20th century and later. Mach's work addressed the problems of his time. Prevailing scientific and philosophical assumptions often relied on abstract speculation, lacking a strong connection to observable reality. The scientific method, while developing, remained susceptible to metaphysical assumptions and theoretical constructs without empirical support. Mach aimed to correct this, promoting a more rigorous, observation-based approach to science. Scientific knowledge, in his view, should stem from direct sensory experience. He dismissed reliance on unobservable entities or speculative metaphysical claims. His core approach prioritized empirical evidence, the collection of data, through observation and experimentation. This commitment to the observable defined his scientific and philosophical thought. He aimed to remove unnecessary metaphysical elements that he believed hindered our understanding of the world, focusing on the essential, the verifiable, and the empirically grounded. Exploring Mach's intellectual landscape reveals a complex figure. He was a brilliant scientist, a profound philosopher, and a man of considerable intellectual courage. His work, though sometimes debated, has profoundly impacted our understanding of the universe and our place within it. The following sections will detail his groundbreaking contributions, offering insights into his unique solutions to the scientific and philosophical challenges of his era and highlighting their enduring relevance. Ernst Mach's early career occurred during a time when scientific inquiry navigated a complex interplay of philosophical speculation and emerging experimental practices. The intellectual climate of the 19th century, while witnessing the growth of scientific disciplines, still reflected philosophical systems that sometimes valued abstract reasoning over empirical validation. This created a tension within the scientific community. A separation existed between theoretical constructs and observable phenomena. The absence of rigorous experimental methodologies further complicated this. Many scientific claims relied on indirect evidence or theoretical arguments, lacking the foundation of systematic observation and controlled experimentation. Data collection, when performed, frequently lacked the precision and standardization characteristic of modern scientific practice. The available tools and techniques were primitive compared to those developed in subsequent decades, thereby restricting the accuracy and scope of investigations. Mach, from the beginning, understood the limitations of this approach. He perceived the necessity of a scientific methodology firmly based on the concrete realities of experience. He pursued a path to connect theory and observation, abstract concepts, and the tangible world. This dedication to empirical evidence, the careful collection of data through observation and experimentation, became the foundation of his scientific and philosophical thought. He sought to separate scientific inquiry from the often obscuring influence of metaphysical speculation. His solution involved a radical revaluation of scientific practice, a call to prioritize the tangible, the verifiable, and the empirically grounded. Mach's approach centered on the importance of direct sensory experience. He believed all scientific knowledge originated from the data provided by our senses. Consequently, a scientist's role was, first and foremost, to carefully observe and meticulously record phenomena. This emphasis on observation was an active, deliberate process that involved the design of experiments, the careful control of variables, and the systematic collection of data. He advocated for a scientific practice that prioritized the concrete and the measurable. The objective was to construct a scientific structure grounded in the solid foundation of direct experience rather than on abstract philosophical systems. For Mach, rejecting metaphysical speculation was a crucial element of his approach. He considered many scientific concepts burdened by unnecessary assumptions and speculative interpretations. These constructs, he argued, often obscured understanding of the natural world, introducing biases and preconceptions that hindered objective inquiry. Mach sought to eliminate extraneous elements, focusing on the essential, the verifiable, the empirically grounded. He aimed to create a science free from preconceived notions, a science that allowed facts to be self-evident. A significant aspect of Mach's methodology was his embrace of thought experiments. These intellectual exercises, where scientists consider hypothetical scenarios and deduce their consequences, became a powerful tool. Thought experiments allowed him to explore complex concepts, isolate key variables, and challenge existing assumptions. He would pose questions about space, time, and motion, often using imaginary scenarios to illuminate fundamental principles. These mental explorations were not ends in themselves. Their purpose was to clarify concepts, identify potential contradictions, and guide the design of real-world experiments. They served as a bridge between the abstract and the concrete, between thought and observation. The impact of Mach's insistence on empirical evidence and rigorous methodology continues to resonate within scientific practice. His emphasis on observation, experimentation, and the rejection of metaphysical speculation laid the groundwork for the development of modern scientific methods. The principles he espoused, the importance of controlled experiments, the careful collection of data, and the critical evaluation of existing theories are now considered fundamental to scientific inquiry. His work helped establish a culture of evidence-based reasoning where claims are subjected to rigorous testing and validation. The dedication to empirical validation has reshaped scientific practices, ensuring scientific knowledge rests on verifiable facts. His influence expanded beyond scientific methodology. He significantly impacted the philosophy of science, influencing perspectives on the nature of scientific knowledge and the role of observation in scientific inquiry. His work aided the development of logical positivism, a philosophical movement that emphasized empirical verification and the elimination of metaphysical speculation. Logical positivism has seen refinements and critiques since its beginning, yet Mach's contributions remain significant. He pioneered efforts to understand the relationship between observation, theory, and the construction of scientific knowledge. Mach's legacy is defined by his commitment to empirical rigor. He championed observation, experimentation, and the rejection of metaphysical speculation. His work helped transform scientific practice, establishing a culture of evidence-based reasoning that continues to shape our understanding of the world. His influence is evident in the emphasis on data-driven analysis, the importance of peer review, and the pursuit of verifiable facts. He left a legacy that continues to inspire scientists and philosophers to seek a deeper and more accurate understanding of the universe. The focus on empirical observation that characterized Mach's scientific approach extended beyond perception and sensation. His investigations into the physical world produced groundbreaking insights, particularly into the dynamics of high-speed motion. In the late 9th century, the study of projectiles, especially those traveling at speeds exceeding that of sound, presented significant challenges. Existing theories, largely based upon the relatively slow speeds of everyday experience, struggled to account for the observed phenomena. The behavior of air under extreme conditions was inadequately understood, and experimental techniques lacked the precision needed to accurately measure the relevant parameters. Mach, always driven by a desire to connect theory with tangible evidence, set out to address these limitations. He pioneered innovative experimental methods, combining his keen observational skills with a deep understanding of physics. Mach turned to direct experimentation, employing techniques that were remarkably advanced for his time. He designed and built apparatuses capable of capturing the complex interactions between projectiles and the air. His ingenuity lay in the use of Schlieren photography, a method that allowed him to visualize the density variations in air caused by the passage of a supersonic object. This technique, which exploits the way light bends when passing through regions of varying refractive index, provided a visual record of the invisible disturbances created by the projectile. The results of Mach's meticulously conducted experiments were revolutionary. He observed that when a projectile, such as a bullet, traveled faster than the speed of sound, it created a distinct conical wave pattern emanating from its tip. This pattern, a region of compressed air, represented a significant departure from the wave behavior observed at lower speeds. He identified that this conical structure, the Mach cone, was a manifestation of a shock wave, a region of abrupt pressure and density change. The angle of the Mach cone, he determined, was directly related to the ratio of the projectile speed to the speed of sound to the surrounding medium. This crucial insight led to the definition of the Mach number, a dimensionless quantity representing the ratio of an object's speed to the speed of sound. The Mach number, a concept that has endured, provides a simple yet powerful way to characterize the speed regime of an object. A Mach number less than 1 signifies subsonic speeds, while a Mach number greater than 1 indicates supersonic speeds. Mach's work offered a quantitative structure for understanding and analyzing these different states. His careful observations and thorough analysis of projectile motion along with the mathematical expression of the Mach number, established the basis for the modern science of aerodynamics. The consequences of Mach's findings reached far beyond ballistics. Comprehension of shock waves and supersonic occurrences became essential in the design of aircraft, rockets, and other high-speed vehicles. The Mach number became a key factor in the design and testing of these technologies, enabling engineers to forecast and manage the behavior of objects moving at extreme speeds. This work continues to be taught and used in engineering and physics, demonstrating the lasting effect of Mach's contributions. Mach's interest in the nature of motion and the relationship between inertia and acceleration also led him to investigate the fundamentals of mechanics. This investigation resulted in what is now known as Mach's principle, a concept that has prompted discussion among physicists for more than a century. Essentially, Mach's principle proposes that inertia, an object's resistance to changes in motion, is not an inherent characteristic of the object itself, but rather arises from its interaction with the rest of the universe. The inertia of an object, according to Mach, is determined by the distribution of mass throughout the cosmos. While Mach's principle, in its original form, has undergone various interpretations and refinements, it significantly influenced the development of Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity. Einstein, deeply influenced by Mach's emphasis on the relativity of motion, aimed to incorporate Mach's principle into his theory. Einstein's theory, which describes gravity as a curvature of space-time caused by mass and energy, provides a framework for understanding inertia that aligns with many of the ideas presented in Mach's principle. General relativity suggests that an object's inertia is indeed influenced by the presence of mass energy in the universe, although it does not fully capture Mach's original vision. The lasting influence of Mach's work on physics is clear. His contributions continue to shape our understanding of the physical world, from the practical applications of the Mach number in aerospace engineering to the theoretical underpinnings of general relativity. His meticulous experiments, innovative techniques, and insightful analysis transformed the study of high-speed motion, providing a framework for understanding and controlling supersonic phenomena. His emphasis on empirical observation and the rejection of metaphysical speculation paved the way for a more rigorous and data-driven approach to scientific inquiry. His legacy inspires scientists who seek to unravel the mysteries of the universe through careful observation, rigorous analysis, and a commitment to verifiable facts. Ernst Mach's intellectual scope extended into philosophy of science. His profound inquiries into the nature of knowledge, the role of observation, the foundations of scientific theories mark him as a significant philosopher. This philosophical dimension, sometimes overshadowed by his experimental achievements, exerted a deep and lasting influence, shaping the intellectual landscape of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The late 9th century presented a complex intellectual environment. Scientific inquiry moved forward, and its foundations remained somewhat ambiguous. The acceptance of unobservable entities, such as atoms, grew, while their existence remained a matter of theoretical speculation. Many scientists and philosophers struggled to articulate a clear epistemological basis for scientific knowledge. How could one be certain about the reality of the unseen, and how could scientific concepts be justified? These questions occupied Mach's mind. Mach's response to these challenges centered on a radical empiricism, a philosophy that emphasized sensory experience as the fundamental source of all knowledge. He argued that all scientific concepts, theories, and laws should be grounded in directly observable phenomena. The world, as we experience it, is the foundation of scientific comprehension. This viewpoint, termed phenomenalism, proposed that our experience constitutes reality. Consequently, science's objective became organizing and describing the connections between our sensations. This focus on empirical observation fostered Mach's deep skepticism regarding metaphysics, a philosophical domain exploring realities, nature, beyond the physical realm. He considered metaphysical speculation a potential impediment to science, diminishing the clarity and precision essential to scientific pursuits. Concepts inaccessible to direct observation or empirical verification were regarded with significant caution. Mach's phenomenalism also influenced his rejection of atomism, the theory positing that all matter comprises indivisible particles called atoms. Although numerous scientists accepted the atomic hypothesis, Mach remained unconvinced. He highlighted that atoms were, at that time, unobservable entities. The evidence supporting their existence, he argued, was indirect and reliant on theoretical assumptions. For Mach, a scientific theory should only propose entities accessible to observation in principle. He favored concentrating on matters directly observable properties, including its mass, density, and behavior under various conditions. A core principle of Mach's philosophy involved the concept of economy of thought. He believed science should aim to provide the simplest and most economical description of the world. Scientific concepts and theories should be selected based on their capacity to organize and summarize our experiences most efficiently. Complex or intricate theories, even if seemingly explanatory, were to be viewed with skepticism. A scientific theory ideally offers the most complete explanation with the fewest assumptions. Mach considered scientific concepts essential tools. They enabled us to organize and understand the extensive sensory data we receive. These concepts, however, originated in the human mind, not necessarily in an independent, objective reality. They were useful because they aided in predicting and controlling our experiences. Their main function was practical, providing a framework for understanding and navigating the world. Mach's philosophical views had a significant historical impact. His focus on empirical observation, his rejection of metaphysics, and his skepticism regarding unobservable entities influenced many scientists and philosophers. His ideas were particularly influential on the inner circle a group of philosophers and scientists who met in Vienna during the 1920s and 1930s. The Vienna Circle, also known as the logical positivists, shared Mach's commitment to empiricism and his rejection of metaphysical speculation. They aimed to create a unified scientific worldview based on verifiable observations and logical analysis. The logical positivists adopted Mach's phenomenalism, seeing scientific statements as descriptions of sensory experiences. They believed the meaning of a scientific statement could be reduced to the observations that would verify it. This approach led them to develop a rigorous program for analyzing scientific language and eliminating meaningless statements. They sought a precise, logical language for science, free from the ambiguities and metaphysical elements they believed impeded progress. Mach's ideas influenced thought beyond the Vienna Circle. He highlighted the importance of empirical observation and critiqued unverified assumptions, fostering a critical and self-aware approach to scientific inquiry. His work encouraged scientists to consider the limitations of their theories and to continually seek evidence to support or challenge them. He provided a framework for understanding the relationship between science, observation, and reality. Mach's legacy encompasses multiple facets. He was an experimental physicist, an analyst of scientific phenomena, and a philosopher who reshaped our understanding of science. His contributions to physics, including his work on supersonic motion, are significant. His philosophical insights, emphasizing the primacy of experience, the value of simplicity, and the importance of empirical verification, continue to influence scientists and philosophers. They offer a reminder of the importance of grounding knowledge in the observable world, a principle central to the scientific enterprise. His rigorous empiricism and his insistence on grounding scientific theories in observable phenomena led him to critique the foundations of classical mechanics, particularly the Newtonian framework. This critical examination represents a pivotal contribution, profoundly shaping the course of physics in the 20th century and beyond. The problems of the time, as Mach perceived them, stemmed from inconsistencies within Newtonian physics itself, alongside a lack of empirical grounding for several core concepts. Newton's laws, while successful in predicting and explaining a vast array of phenomena, relied heavily on the notions of absolute space and absolute time. These were conceived as a fixed, immutable background against which all motion occurred. Newton posited that absolute space existed independently, a vast, empty container where the universe unfolded. Absolute time, in his view, flowed uniformly, independent of all else. These ideas, though useful mathematically, presented a philosophical difficulty as they were unobservable. No experiment could directly detect or measure absolute space or absolute time. This lack of empirical proof concerned Mach. He held that scientific concepts should originate from and be reducible to sensory experience. Theories based on unobservable entities, he believed, were questionable. Mach found the Newtonian framework wanting because of this dependence. He questioned the concept of absolute motion, asserting that we can only observe the relative motion of objects. If an object moves, its movement is only truly known relative to another. The idea of an object moving in absolute space, without a frame of reference, seemed meaningless. This critique of absolute space and time had implications for understanding inertia, the resistance of an object to changes in motion. In Newtonian mechanics, inertia was attributed to an object's mass. Mach offered a different perspective. He proposed that inertia was a result of the interaction between a body and all other matter in the universe. The perspective resulted in what is now recognized as Mach's principle, although Mach himself did not explicitly state it. The central concept is that an object's inertial characteristics are determined by the distribution of mass throughout the cosmos. Distant stars and galaxies, through their gravitational influence, somehow determine the inertia of a local object. Alterations in the universe's mass distribution would lead to corresponding changes in the inertial properties of objects. This concept, initially speculative, offered a means to reconcile the observed behavior of inertia with the principle of relativity, the idea that the laws of physics are consistent for all observers, irrespective of their motion. Mach's arguments for the relativity of motion and his critique of absolute space and time were revolutionary. They challenged the established order and prompted physicists to reevaluate the fundamental assumptions of their theories. His work significantly influenced young Albert Einstein, who was addressing the inconsistencies between Newtonian mechanics and the emerging theory of electromagnetism. Einstein, deeply impressed by Mach's emphasis on empirical verification and his skepticism toward unobservable concepts, found in Mach's ideas a crucial step toward his own revolutionary work. Einstein acknowledged Mach's influence in the development of his theory of general relativity. General relativity, published in 1915, provided a new theory of gravity that superseded Newton's. In Einstein's theory, gravity is explained as a curvature of spacetime caused by the presence of mass and energy. General relativity incorporates Mach's principle, at least partially. The theory suggests that an object's inertial properties are indeed influenced by the distribution of mass throughout the universe, although the precise relationship is a complex and ongoing area of research. The equations of general relativity provide a mathematical framework for understanding how the distant masses in the universe might influence the local inertial properties of objects. Mach's critique maintains relevance through its influence on modern physics. The importance he placed on empirical verification continues to shape scientific investigation. The ongoing effort to understand dark matter and dark energy seeks to align observed phenomena with current understanding of the universe. The quest for a quantum theory of gravity, which would unite general relativity with quantum mechanics, stems from a desire to understand the fundamental nature of spacetime and its relationship to matter and energy. These investigations connect indirectly to Mach's early questioning of the fundamental nature of space and time. The debate surrounding Mach's principle persists. General relativity incorporates the principle in certain ways, yet the precise mathematical formulation and its full implications remain under investigation. Physicists debate whether general relativity fully embodies Mach's principle or only partially captures its essence. Attempts continue to develop alternative theories of gravity that might more fully incorporate Mach's ideas. This ongoing discussion demonstrates the lasting impact of Mach's work. It illustrates how this critical approach to scientific inquiry inspires new research and theoretical developments. His work served as a catalyst, prompting physicists to re-examine the foundations of their discipline. It helped to advance a deeper understanding of the universe, its fundamental constituents, and their interactions. The impact of Mach's inquiries into the nature of space and time extended beyond physics. His rigorous examination of the foundations of physical reality led him to consider the nature of human perception and experience. Mach's interests shifted to psychology and physiology, disciplines then in the process of becoming scientific. The late 19th century saw growing interest in the mind, though the tools for its study were often basic and methods frequently used introspection, a process involving subjectivity. The challenges of the time concerned moving from speculative philosophical discussions of consciousness to a scientific understanding of the mind. This involved creating objective methods for studying subjective experience and connecting mental phenomena to underlying physiological processes. Mach's approach, consistent with his earlier work, was empirical and based on careful observation of sensory experience. He sought to base psychological inquiry on the same principles of precision and measurement he had used in physics. He saw the mind as a complex system of sensations, and he aimed to break these sensations down into their fundamental components. His work led him to explore the complexities of spatial perception, visual experience, and the broader realm of sensory input. Mach's investigations into spatial perception are especially insightful. He recognized that our experience of space is not a simple, direct reflection of external reality. He argued that our perception of spatial relationships is built from a combination of sensory inputs, including visual, tactile, and kinesthetic information. The sense of space, for Mach, came from the coordination of these diverse sensory elements. He proposed that our understanding of spatial relationships is learned through experience, through the continuous correlation of sensory data. This perspective challenged the philosophical views of the time, which often considered space to be a pre-existing framework within which experience unfolds. Mach's work on visual perception further emphasized his commitment to an empirical approach. He investigated how the eye processes light and color, and he explored afterimages and visual illusions. He aimed to understand how the brain creates a coherent visual world from the fragmented information received by the retina. He carefully analyzed adaptation and contrast, demonstrating how our visual system actively shapes our perception. The active role of the observer was a key aspect of Mach's approach. A central concept in Mach's psychological framework was the notion of elements. These elements were the fundamental units of experience, the irreducible sensations from which all complex mental phenomena are constructed. These elements included sensations and feelings, the raw data of consciousness. These elements, according to Mach, are neutral, neither physical nor mental. They simply exist. The relationships and organization of these elements give rise to the distinction between the physical and the mental. The mind, in this view, is a dynamic system, a complex network of interacting elements. These elements are constantly changing and interacting, giving rise to the continuous flow of consciousness. Mach's concept of elements significantly impacted the development of early psychological theories. It influenced the rise of structuralism, a school of thought that sought to analyze the structure of consciousness by identifying its basic elements. The structuralist project, as championed by Wilhelm Wundt and Edward Titchener, differed in some respects from Mach's own views, but the underlying goal of breaking down complex mental phenomena into their fundamental components was directly inspired by Mach's work. His emphasis on sensory experience and his focus on the objective study of subjective phenomena provided a crucial foundation for the development of psychology as a scientific discipline. Mach also sought connections between psychological phenomena and physiological processes. He considered the mind and the body to be linked, and he aimed to understand the biological basis of mental experience. He explored the relationship between sensory input and neural activity, and he investigated the role of the nervous system in perception and cognition. These investigations, though limited by the scientific tools available then, anticipated the development of modern neuroscience. Mach's vision of a unified science, where the physical, the physiological, and the psychological are understood as interconnected aspects of a single reality, remains relevant. The modern relevance of Mach's work in psychology and physiology is clear, especially in cognitive science and neuroscience. His emphasis on the active role of the observer, the importance of sensory experience, and the interconnectedness of mind and body are central themes in current research. Cognitive scientists continue to explore the processes by which the brain constructs our perception of the world, and neuroscientists are making significant strides in understanding the neural mechanisms underlying consciousness. Mach's concept of elements has provided a framework for understanding the building blocks of mental experience even if not directly adopted in modern cognitive theories. His work has helped shape our understanding of the relationship between the mind and the brain. His legacy endures as a testament to the power of empirical inquiry and the importance of interdisciplinary thinking. The echoes of Ernst Mach's intellectual endeavors resonate through the corridors of modern thought, a testament to his profound impact on the scientific and philosophical landscape. His contributions, spanning physics, physiology, and philosophy, are interwoven threads in a rich tapestry of ideas. These ideas continue to spark debate and inspire new avenues of inquiry. Mach's insistence on empirical observation, his skepticism regarding metaphysical speculation, and his commitment to parsimony. These principles continue to guide scientific investigation. His focus on the importance of experience, the role of the observer, and the interconnectedness of physical and mental phenomena has greatly influenced the evolution of scientific methods. The concept of objectivity in science, often assumed, was thoroughly reevaluated because of Mach's work. He prompted a critical examination of the assumptions behind our understanding of the world, challenging the simple realism that had previously been dominant in scientific thought. The debates surrounding Mach's ideas, especially his rejection of atoms and his critique of Newtonian mechanics, show his importance. His stance against the atomic hypothesis, although later proven inaccurate, compelled scientists to address fundamental questions about the nature of matter and the boundaries of scientific knowledge. The discussion about atoms, a foundation of modern chemistry and physics, encouraged a deeper understanding of experimental evidence. His analysis of Newtonian mechanics, which revealed the limitations of absolute space and time, prepared the ground for Einstein's theory of relativity. Mach's readiness to question established ways of thinking, even when they were strongly established, reflects his intellectual bravery and dedication to thorough investigation. The lasting importance of Mach's work is partly due to its ability to connect science and philosophy. He acknowledged the inherent limitations of purely empirical approaches, highlighting the importance of philosophical thought in shaping scientific understanding. He understood the need for critical examination of the assumptions behind scientific theories and the importance of considering the wider implications of scientific discoveries. His work reminds us that science is a human undertaking shaped by our experiences, values, and philosophical viewpoints rather than a detached, objective one. Considered his influence on the Vienna Circle, the group of philosophers and scientists who supported logical positivism, adopted Mach's emphasis on empiricism, his rejection of metaphysics, and his commitment to logical analysis. Although the Vienna Circle's program, with its emphasis on verification and its attempt to eliminate all metaphysical statements, eventually faced significant challenges, it was greatly indebted to Mach's groundbreaking work. His influence extended beyond this philosophical movement, shaping the broader intellectual climate of the 20th century. The contemporary relevance of Mach's ideas is evident in ongoing debates about the foundations of physics. His critique of absolute space and time, a precursor to Einstein's theories, continues to resonate in discussions about the nature of spacetime and the interpretation of quantum mechanics. He emphasized the importance of operational definitions, defining scientific concepts in terms of measurable quantities, a central tenet of scientific practice. The formulation and testing of scientific theories, with an emphasis on experimental verification and the avoidance of metaphysical speculation, directly reflects Mach's influence. Mach's ideas profoundly impact our understanding of the nature of knowledge itself. He emphasized the role of experience, the importance of sensory input, and the active role of the observer. These concepts challenged traditional notions of objectivity and truth. He argued that scientific knowledge is a construction of our minds shaped by our experiences and cognitive frameworks. This perspective, though debated, profoundly influenced our understanding of the relationship between the observer and the observed, and the limitations of human knowledge. The legacy of Ernst Mach is complex and multifaceted. He was a brilliant scientist, a perceptive philosopher, and a critic of established ideas. He challenged the status quo, prompting us to confront fundamental questions about the nature of reality, and paved the way for some of the most important scientific and philosophical developments of the 20th century. His work continues to inspire, provoke, and challenge us to think critically about the world around us. Mach's dedication to empirical inquiry, his skepticism towards unverified claims, and his insistence on clarity of thought. These principles remain essential for navigating the complexities of the modern world. His legacy is a call to intellectual honesty, a plea for critical thinking, and an invitation to engage in a lifelong pursuit of knowledge. He is a significant figure, a pioneer who clarified the path toward a more detailed and deep understanding of science, philosophy, and the nature of human experience. His ideas, similar to the shock waves of his experiments, continue to spread, influencing the intellectual landscape of our time.
We really appreciate you tuning into this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.